everyone. Thank you so much for joining our session. Welcome to the Digdata BT Live Online Career Panel. My name's Rachel Keane. I'm the Chief Data Inspirer at the Data Inspiration Group and the founder of the Digdata programme. That's a virtual work experience and career panel offering that educates students on how data is used across many industry sectors and job roles. So a massive thank you to our panellists this evening from BT. We're joined by data professionals, early years talent and youth employability specialists who will share their education and career journeys with us this evening and give us some advice how to gain experience and knowledge in areas that can support key decisions for you all moving forward. So having an understanding of key skills you already possess are so valuable in today's recruitment process. And I'm proud to say that BT are really at the forefront at encouraging future talent to bring their whole selves to work and that investing in the development of these skills too. There really is a place for everyone at BT. The recruitment landscape is changing and Digdata are so proud to be partnering with BT and educate you on the diverse and inclusive entry points into their business by way of apprenticeships, placement years and graduate schemes across all areas of their business. So a little bit of housekeeping. This panel session tonight will run for 45 minutes. After that time, we'll open up to the audience for a 15-minute Q&A session. Naturally, throughout the session, we expect respectful and appropriate behaviour. If you've got any problems at all from a technical perspective, please email info@digdata.online and we'll be able to assist you ASAP. This session is being recorded and will be available on the BT Career Panel webpage for you to rewatch, share, whatever. So I now, without further ado, would like to introduce you to Shane Liddy. Shane, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, please?
Yeah, certainly can. Yeah. How you doing, everybody? So my name is Shane. I'm a data analyst with BT, basically looking at performance of offers that we present to customers on the EE app at the moment. And I do a lot of visualization work as well with that data, try and spot trends and make that look appealing to senior stakeholders. So yeah, that's pretty much in a nutshell what I do. I guess next on the list is Laurie, if you want to go ahead.
Perfect, thanks Shane. So I'm Laurie, I'm one of the talent acquisition partners in Early Careers and I partner with our enterprise CFU. So in my role, it is very much all around graduates and apprenticeships, as well as industrial placements and summer placements as well. So I'm very much at sort of the heart of making sure that all the candidates are okay, partnering with the different CFU leads to make sure that the candidates that we're bringing in are the right ones, and really looking after that full life cycle from very much sort of application to day one. So that is me. Amy, do you want to go next?
Hi everybody, good evening. I'm Amy and I lead BT's youth employment programmes, and my main focus at the moment is helping to build a digital talent movement for the whole of the UK, because we want to inspire and excite people around careers in digital and data, which hopefully won't be hard for you lot on the call because you're already interested enough to have joined this evening, and also help tell people about what a great place to work BT is and the variety of roles that we have and exciting careers that you can embark on with us. So this call is perfect for me, it ticks all my boxes. So I will pass over now. Oh, sorry, Georgia.
Yeah, sorry, I was just wanted to check it's me next. Thank you very much for that, Amy. So I'm Georgia and I work for Openreach, which is a wholly owned subsidiary of the BT Group. I work as a junior data scientist in service delivery. So what that means is our main concern is that the customer's getting a service to them, and we look at faults, we look at the lines, and we try and drive insight from what we're seeing in that data.
Fantastic.
Next,
well, great to hear.
Is Isabel, I think.
Oh, Isabel, sorry, apologies.
Yeah, sorry, handing over to Isabel.
Thank you. Hi everyone, I'm Isabel. I'm a data engineering professional at BT. Yeah, I joined BT fairly recently, but yeah, my role is mainly around helping BT move onto the cloud, so moving all their infrastructure and yeah, on-prem systems onto the cloud. And this is really important because it helps with the data scientists and data analysts analyze the data better, work out what the features are, and help with business decision making.
Fantastic. Well, welcome all. Let's open up this session. So Shane, let's start with you. You decided to take your passion for music and study a bachelor's in music technology at university, but didn't complete the course and you left that. It was a very, very brave decision. Why was university not right for you? And what would your advice for anyone in a similar position here today be?
That's a good question, yeah. So I think at the time, so I was quite young. I think I just turned 18 or so. I came straight out of school from a really regimented routine and straight into the massive freedom you have as a young student. So I found after a little bit of time that I wasn't quite ready for that. I hadn't decided exactly what I wanted to do with my life, really. So I needed a little bit of time to step back and decide what would be the best career pathway for me. In terms of advice, I think the key thing I took from it was that was the right decision for me. I needed to have a look at the options available, maybe get a bit of experience in different areas and see what was best. Luckily, I had the opportunity to work full time, and so I managed to develop a few skills along the way that have ultimately helped me get to where I am today. So definitely worthwhile in that sense. I think the key thing I would say is definitely don't bury your head in the sand. If you find yourself in that position where you're not sure you're doing the right thing for you, reach out. There's plenty of support. There's plenty of people like myself that went through similar things. You may find that the course credits that you have got or have obtained already, you can come back to that in the future. That might help you finish a course. You might be able to transfer to a different course, something like that. So absolutely look for work experience. Look at online resources. Get a taste of what's available. Find what's best for you and stick to your passions. That's what I've learned, and absolutely that's what I try and stick to now.
Fantastic. That sounds like very sound advice. I think actually the position here is that everybody is an individual and not everybody can follow the same path. So let's move on now to Isabel. Your education and your career journey to date has seen some twists and turns, but you've always had that kind of thread and that interest in data. Can you tell us a little bit about your transition from accountancy to now data engineering?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question as well. And yeah, for me, yeah, I did a degree in business management and economics. And when I left, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. I kind of liked accountancy and the kind of aspect of it, you know, like as an important part of business. So it's something that I worked towards, and I did a certification in. But there was always a sort of a background to it. I was interested in working with Excel and report building. And it was really, in my accountancy roles that I kind of was able to develop an interest more into Excel and some of the kind of programming style, things you can do. And yeah, that kind of led me on to sort of focusing more on my career in that. And luckily at one of my companies, I had a mentor who was a data scientist, and she really sort of brought me along on that journey and to show me how she'd done that. And it really sort of, just gave me a bit more confidence to actually say, I can go and do this. But it also required a lot of sort of self-teaching. So yeah, it helped me to move into that direction and focus on developing some of those skills.
And I think probably a very key thing is where you start and where you kind of, you move throughout your journey, when you end up are always two completely different things, which is good to know, really, because I think we've all probably in the audience and on this call have done something similar. And that leads me to Georgia. So you've always had a passion for maths since an early age, Georgia, and you love to problem solve. But how have you combined the things that you love and what you're naturally good at to shape a career in data science?
Yeah, thanks, Rachel. Really great question. So I decided to go and study maths at university because it's something I'd always really enjoyed. And for me, it was super important to do something that I really had that passion for, because when things get challenging, you need to have that enjoyment and fulfillment to push through those problems. So I didn't really have a career in mind when I started doing maths at university. So I took every opportunity I could to try and seek out these potential careers. So I did like tutoring and school placements and internships over the summer. And I even did a trading simulation day actually, and won a free t-shirt for getting trader of the day. So you try out all these things, and no matter what degree you do, the skills you earn will be great for you and be transitional to the workplace. So then I went on study abroad because I thought this is another great thing, another great experience. And actually I was living in China and then COVID happened. So I had to move home. In like the January, February, the start of COVID from China. And my university put together this program for me. So I was put in the strategic change department. And because I had that interest in tutoring and education, they put me on technology and education. And my supervisor was a data scientist, and he was very keen on getting us to learn Python and to get some analytics involved with this education and technology, so we could see engagement and stuff like that. So this like first interaction with Python really inspired me to go out and teach myself more. So I don't know if anyone's heard of Code First Girls before, but they're like a charity who will give free tuition to women and non-binary people to get more of them into technology. So I did an introduction to Python course, and then I actually got an opportunity to study a nano degree in data science sponsored by Openreach. So that's really how my journey's come full circle. And these nano degrees and these online courses are open to anyone, not just people that study maths, but school leavers and people who study any degree discipline. So super great opportunity.
So seize the opportunities as you can is the key message there. Laurie, you studied drama at university, and this has always remained a passion of yours. How has your educational pathway assisted you in your current role as an early years talent specialist at BT?
I think similar to what Georgia said, in a sense of what you learn at university and the skills that you pick up, but also, you know, working part-time like Mathlan and things like that, it really does shape you for what life is outside of university, if that's the route that you do choose to go down. So a lot of people, you know, do think that drama degrees are you literally just standing there being a tree for 3 years. And fortunately for me, it was a lot more than that, and it was very much around sort of like the management of people, and really sort of we put on 5-day productions essentially, and I was doing 18-hour days, and it really isn't for the faint-hearted. So it really gave me that sort of commitment and knowledge of working under pressure and working with people, and with those sort of 3 things I didn't really know where I wanted to go after university, like I think 90% of people do, which again is completely normal. And I was then approached about a recruitment role, and within 2 weeks I was like, yeah, this is where I want to be. So I kind of did fall into it, but all of my transferable skills that I picked up worked perfectly for it.
Definitely. I mean, a good recruiter needs good engagement, right? And a good actor or actress needs good engagement. So definitely, but you'd never tie them together. That's the thing.
No.
So is it fair to say then, Laurie, that when you were a drama student, you didn't expect to need any kind of data expertise in your role? And
no.
Why would you? And actually, can you tell us a little bit about, how important it is for many roles across BT to have some data proficiency?
Yeah, I think especially now, data is pretty much at the key of everything that we do. And I'm sure the guys will all agree with me. We can't improve our services if we don't know what our customers enjoy, don't like, want to see more of. And without that data, we couldn't improve as a business. So even in my role, I would probably say a good sort of 30% of my role is looking into data, and that's from sort of how many applications are we getting through, where are those applications coming from, what universities, what schools, what regions, right through to how many candidates are attending our assessment centre, what does our dropout rate look like, and really using that data to tailor our next season's assessment centres, and really sort of using it to make sure that the process is better for the candidates, and that will then work for, you know, potentially Shane's role in terms of how he'll use it for different customers and things like that. So although data may not be on the front of, you know, a job title, it is probably part of, I'd probably say about 90% of the roles at BT, and you'll see that with a lot of our graduate roles as well, and especially our apprenticeships as well. We've got one, a chartered management one, and you can do a finance rotation in there, and one of the girls I know at the moment is doing that, and it's very much around analysing that data within finance, and you wouldn't think that from the initial chartered management title.
I think also the fact is there's quite a lot of fear around data as well. You know, I think everybody sort of goes, oh my God, it's data. If I'm not getting good at maths, I'm not going to know what to do. But actually, I think if you've got a really key interest in the area of business that you're working in, you know, then you're interested in learning those skills, and it's, you know, really at the forefront of everything. So Amy, let's move over to you. There are so many different digital and tech programs for students to undertake throughout their educational journey. What are BT doing to ensure they recognise these as assets and not necessarily focusing like the traditional style of, you know, A-levels, BTECs, degrees, etc.?
Yeah, so I think firstly, we have got a fantastic track record in providing really, really strong apprenticeship and grad programs. So you know, we've really got great offerings there. But I think with those roles and with entry-level roles more broadly, we're getting better at looking critically and being honest about only asking for the skills and experience and qualifications that are strictly necessary for the role, and not asking for a degree in something or even an A-level in something if it's not really, you know, 100% required, if we can't justify that. And Laurie might want to chip in on this as well, kind of with your experience from a recruitment perspective. But I think that's something that we're seeing across the business, and it's a conversation that we're having with the line managers as well in terms of managing expectations of people coming into the business. And we're looking at the, you know, the different programs that we can get involved in, like Code First Girls that Georgia mentioned, and investing in people before they join us. So not worrying so much about what the background is up until that point, but investing and knowing if somebody has completed a nano degree, for example, they'll have gained certain skills, they've shown their commitment and their passion to this this field and this area, and actually that's all we need to know about somebody. And then it means that our selection process can be focused a little bit more about, do your skills and values genuinely match those of BT as a business? Because if that aligns, then there's a lot of the other stuff that we can teach you on the job. So just really kind of changing our mindset a little bit to think about what people really need to have as they're walking through the door and what we can provide them with once they're in.
Fantastic. Have you got any jobs? Just that.
If you don't mind me adding in, Rachel, as well, with our graduates, well, all of our early careers opportunities, you don't need to have a degree or A-levels or GCSEs in that particular field. So if you're applying, say, for a software engineer, you don't have to have done an IT degree. You could have done the drama degree, you could do a history degree, and we will still, you know, put you forward and you will still go through that application process. So, you know, as Amy said, it's really about those core skills and what you can bring with those transferable and core skills rather than what you've done.
That's so refreshing to hear, really is, because, you know, to see that recruitment landscape is changing and that people are actually, you know, interested in what people are bringing to the table rather than what they have, you know, in terms of an educational background, because not everybody learns in that way, you know, and it's important that we recognise that. So Shane, let's go back to you and your interest in music. You started your life as a budding musician. You've taught music. You can play 10 instruments. You know, and I'm sure, like me, the audience won't necessarily align music and data. So can tell me a little bit about the skills you've applied from learning music to your career in data?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you look at what music is, as a performer, as a composer, essentially what you're doing is transferring notes, some sort of idea. You're trying to translate it into audio. And if you look at those processes that go on, it's the building blocks of data analysts. It's ETL. Extract, transform. Though you're picking your data sets, you're transforming it, and you're analyzing it afterwards. That's, in music, you always have to analyze your performance. There's always room for improvement, I guess. So that's the key thing, the processes. And I think anyone that has an understanding of music will know that it's about patterns. It's about trends and patterns. Everything follows a certain scale, a certain tonal sequence, if you want. And without realizing it, that's what you do when you look at data as well. You're just trying to spot a trend. You're trying to find something that fits, something that's familiar, or trying to tell a story as well. It's the big thing for me, I think, that I took from music is if you've ever played in an ensemble, in a band, or with friends, you're always thinking on your feet. So you're always going to come across problems you've never seen before, especially in data or technology. And you're always trying to work as part of a team, as a band as well. So you might have to work with different teams to get to the endpoint you're going for. You're always going to have a better performance if you work with the band than against them. And that translates massively into everything I've seen in BT. There's a real good ethos of teamwork, and you're always going to get the help you need if you look for it. So it's really beneficial. I think they're the key things for music. You've always got to adapt to the performance, and there's never two performances the exact same. And if you work with your band, you're always going to come out on top. So that's what I took.
So would you be right in saying that your data team could also be known as a rock and roll band?
Yes. Maybe, yeah. Hold on, let me grab my guitar, I'll show you.
Yeah, well, we can do that. We can play us out a little bit later, Shane. So, Isabel, you're a true advocate in learning and following pathways that interest you. And you touched on it a little bit earlier about sort of being self-taught. You've used online forums and programs to assist you in your learning. So why is it so important to use additional platforms to support and guide learning throughout your education? And that touches on a little bit as what Georgia said earlier with the sort of nano degree code first skills, etc.
Absolutely. I think something that I've noticed throughout my career is that it's been really important to kind of stay on top of what's happening in terms of not just trends, but making sure that your skill set is always, the best, or, you're learning basically. And I think that's kind of life, right? But yeah, I mean, as a being in data, you're amongst so many great people. There's such a strong community, within data. You've got resources, conferences like PyData. You've got free online resources like W Free School, which is one of the first resources that I started to use. But there's also Data Mentor if you're looking for a mentor or someone to help you along in your journey. And yeah, one of the courses that I did was at General Assembly, so it was a data science immersive, and it was an online course. So for me, it suited me well because it meant that I could, I could interact online, but also really get lots of work done in my own time. So yeah, I totally recommend it, and just like what Digdata are doing in terms of helping you to develop those skills. I think there's so many resources in the data community, and yeah, it's really been great for me.
Great. So your advice is get involved, grab as much as you can, and every day's a learning day as well, right? So,
yes.
So Georgia, back to you. You've dedicated, and you touched on this a little bit earlier, you've dedicated your spare time to outreach work, tutoring students, for them to get more engaged, more excited about maths, and particularly understand the subject, which so many people at school kind of struggle with. How do you apply these skills to your role at BT?
Yeah, thanks, Rachel. Great question again. So I think just wanted to highlight, first of all, having any part-time job during your studies will give you far more skills than you could ever imagine, whether that's tutoring, whether that's I've worked at Tesco or been a waitress. All of these things will give you so many transferable skills that will give you talking points with recruiters and interviewers So I'll just name a few that I've personally got from tutoring, but you can think of these and try and think about any experiences you've had or jobs you've had. And I'm sure these will apply to you too. And you'll be able to speak about them in interviews and put them on your CV in your key skills. So for me personally, I'd say top 5 that I've got from tutoring. So problem solving, and not just problem solving in the sense of solving maths problems, but really getting a problem. Maybe a student doesn't understand something a certain way, and taking the initiative and adapting to that situation is really important, because if you backtrack and fumble on your words, you can really confuse students, and you can go on to describing something that you didn't mean to do, and then you're in this horrible situation. So problem solving is very key. Creativity, which kind of links to that. So being creative enough to think outside of the box and, you know, engage them in new ways that maybe traditional teaching methods didn't really suit them. But as a tutor, you get the opportunity really to embrace the fact that you can take a bit of a different angle with their learning. Organisation, probably quite an obvious one really, but just planning lessons and making sure they're on track to progression. That's such an important skill, and that's a must in any job, whether that's in the data industry or any industry really.
Fantastic.
I've
And
just
one
got
more?
I've just got 2 more, but I'll be really super quick. So communication skills links in with the other ones. Teach them, be logical, be understandable, explain those concepts. And that really links in with my role and how I need to communicate sometimes to a non-technical audience, or taking that complex information in and make it more simple. And then the final one is learning. In the data industry, you're always going to be learning, and to teach anything, you need to learn more about it and become a master of it. So I love learning and learn about new technologies in my role, but being a tutor has really helped me master all of those skills.
Fantastic. Who knew? Who knew how beneficial being a tutor was? I now feel quite grateful that my daughter had a tutor, actually. I've obviously benefited her life as well. So Amy, back to you. You started your life in BT in HR, and you've worked across many different transformation projects and internal roles. You're now working in youth employability. I mean, I can see how much you love it. You know, you're literally glowing. Can you give us an overview of your role and how it's attracting more diverse talent and a future pipeline for roles in BT?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the first thing to say is when I first got the opportunity to take on this role and to lead BT's youth employment programs, I didn't have experience in that field, but I had a whole host of transferable skills, like everybody else has mentioned, that meant that I could demonstrate that I would have the kind of the prerequisites to do well in this role and to make a success of it. And I think the other thing is it demonstrates that wherever you start in your career, it doesn't really necessarily have a bearing on where you'll end up and all of the stuff that you'll do in between. I think we've heard from everybody here that actually what you've started doing or where you thought you might go hasn't always proved to be true. And I think that's one of the exciting things about BT is I've been in the company 10 years and I've done about 5 different roles, and I've worked abroad, and I've had a secondment outside of the company. So it's really kind of putting your hand up and taking those opportunities where you can. But in terms of what I'm doing now, I'm leading the Fast Futures programme, which is for 18 to 24-year-olds. It's part-time. They've just started a cohort, but there's another one in September, so you can Google Fast Futures and sign up for anybody that's interested. And that's part of our ambition to support as many young people in sort of broadening their horizons. I think it's really hard to know what jobs exist out there in BT, but in all industries and sectors more broadly. So that's one of our key pieces is showing people the breadth of the kind of the opportunities that exist, and then providing practical support to help take those steps and start a really exciting and long-term career. And so Fast Futures is just one of the ways that we're doing it. Code First Girls, as I mentioned, there's lots of different programs, because we really want to cast that net a little bit wider than people who would just consider BT, because we are a really innovative, inclusive, forward-thinking, cool company to work for, and we want more people to know that, really. So that's one of the reasons that we are investing so heavily in programs like that, and in young people and their development.
Excellent. And that is so important. And just on your point, broadening horizons for young people is the most important thing, to make them see what they have and where it can be applied with, you know, fantastic organisations like yourself. Laurie, back to you. So BT have a number of fantastic entry points into the business, from a school leaver through to a graduate, through to somebody who's literally seeking to transition into possibly a second career. Can you tell us more about your apprenticeship and graduate placement schemes and the rotations that you offer across the different business areas, please?
Yeah. So I'll start with apprenticeships. So we offer apprenticeships from level 2 to level 10. So I think from level 6 upwards, a lot of them are integrated degrees. So you've got the degree part of the apprenticeship as well. So you're learning, earning and having a bit of university experience in there as well with some of them. They range from 12 months right through to 4 years in length. So, you know, it's not just, you know, a typical sort of 18-month program. You know, they are for the long haul, and depending on the level of apprenticeship will depend on whether you sort of do rotations through different departments. So I think I mentioned earlier about chartered management. You go through different departments with that one, and I believe our rotations are 8 months for the apprenticeship. So you can really sort of learn on your feet, and that happens with quite a few of them as well, just depending on obviously what that particular apprenticeship is. And then with our graduate programs, we have rotational and non-rotational. So non-rotational are very much sort of entry level roles after university. Typically you will need a degree of some form to apply for them, and that will be sort of a set role that you will be doing. So for example, a service desk analyst, a data analyst, that would be your role. But then we also have our rotational programs, which we have one that we've been recruiting for this year in consumer, I think it is, for data and analytics. So with that, you would have 3 or 4 rotations throughout your 2-year program, and you'll get to see different areas of that particular sector as such within BT. So you would work within consumer, but you may work within sort of 3 or 4 different teams in different type of roles, and then you can really find where it is that you want to go after that point, and then lead into, you know, a full-time permanent position with BT. So there are completely different routes that you can go down. And then we also offer, as you mentioned, industrial placements, which are for university students that have got a sandwich degree. So you've got that year in industry. And then we also offer summer placements as well, which I believe is a 9-week program, but I may not be correct on that length. And that is very much like a paid internship. So, you know, that first step into, is this something that I want to do, and really sort of exploring corporate life essentially.
I guess also with those rotation programs, right, not only do you get to kind of, you know, sort of dip your toe into the water, but you actually get the opportunity, when you've decided which part that you'd like to work in, you've got a greater understanding of how they all kind of combine. So, you know, it's actually a really good learning curve there. Can you just confirm for us in the audience what a level 2 apprenticeship is?
So a level 2 apprenticeship is, I would probably say, it's the baseline apprenticeship. So from memory, it's, you just need your GCSEs for a level 2. So very much entry level, school leaver, just finished year 11, don't really fancy college.
Yeah.
Not interested in moving up to university in a few years, but also you don't want to go straight into work. So it's really that opportunity to take that learning and earning right from sort of day dot.
Yes, good. Really good. Really beneficial. Amy, just coming back to you quickly, we know that sometimes the word data and or tech, you know, is kind of thrown about, but actually it can intimidate some people. What are BT doing to ensure that tech works for everybody?
Yeah, so I think as soon as people hear the word tech, you tend to think of like the hardware and like actual stuff. And it really is quite divisive, because I think certain people get really like, that's what they like, that interests them, and then loads of people go, that's not me, no, not interested. So actually we want to talk around more about digital skills, because everybody needs those to thrive, whoever you are. Like, anybody in the UK needs those skills to make the most of life, and that's part of our purpose, in BT, is to help people make the most of life. And so really to think about that, if the next innovations are going to work for everybody and tech is going to work for everybody, yes, we want to help provide people with the digital skills, but also those next generation of innovations need to be developed and delivered by people who actually reflect a true cross-section of society. So we need to be recruiting a really nice, diverse range of people who will help us design services and products that work for everybody across the UK. So that's so important in terms of, what we were doing, and then in turn also upskilling and helping people grow while they're in the business. So Shane, Georgia and Isabel will hopefully attest to the fact that there are lots of different development opportunities and different kind of pathways and growth opportunities within BT.
Fantastic. So Isabel, let's go back to you. And let's talk about your self-teaching, which you've really kind of based your journey on, I guess. And we've talked about this a little bit before. Excel is a tool that you've self-taught, and you targeted yourself to learn new skills all the time and its functionalities. And I guess that kind of foundation of that tool's really kind of helped you take the step forward with other tools. How has this tool assisted you in learning other programs, such as, SQL, Python, perhaps others that you want to kind of throw into the mix or that you use on a daily basis?
Sure. So yeah, as you know, Excel was so widely used, for in business and in general, and it's where I sort of sparked my interest in data and programming. Really, it was a tool that I wanted to use to improve ways of working in my current role. I was looking at ways to improve processes or automate reports, and it's something that I just wanted to sort of focus on, and that's kind of the basis of SQL and Python, right? You're programming, you're creating programs, you're doing analysis, and yeah, it's just those tools are designed to handle much larger volumes of data, and do more complex sort of calculations. And I think, yeah, they're so key now to a data professional's role, and sort of beginning that with Excel and really sort of testing out, your skill set and seeing where it lies, and just sort of, yeah, then honing in on that.
Absolutely. So sort of suss out using that kind of tool that's accessible for everybody, then with the view to kind of build on it. Great. So that leads us sort of swiftly to Georgia. So Georgia, why is technology so important in the world of data analytics? And if members of the audience are interested in exploring new technologies and understanding how they are used in the world of work, what would you suggest they do to get some experience?
Yeah, great question. So to mirror what Isabel said to begin with, really, technology is so important in the world of data and analytics because of the sheer scale of data we're working with today. So we can't use these traditional technologies to handle it. So we then look to advanced technology to tackle these complex problems. And in using that technology, we can then make better informed business decisions, more efficient operations, higher profits and happier customers ultimately. So my advice really to get some experience with some technology would be to do anything you can. No experience is bad experience, is what I think, really. So look at these Digdata programs. They're great. Any work experiences, internships, short courses online, a lot of them are free. So like I went through Code First Girls to do that introduction to Python and then to do my nano degree. They're open to anyone that's a student and anyone that has finished being a student in the last 2 years. So that would be most of you on this call, I imagine. So just anything like that, or even just tackle projects in your own time. So you can just search on the internet Python projects for beginners or something like that, or Excel projects for beginners, and you get a whole list of stuff that you can tackle. And then that's a talking point for future interviews, because you can show that you've really dedicated yourself and proven your own interest and also your own skill set in doing so. So yeah,
And
get involved.
Also have that kind of confidence as well, speak with confidence, because you've actually, you know, spent your free time doing that to kind of support your interview or your kind of decision in moving into that area. Shane, you've worked in a number of technical solution roles and sales-based roles, and you've continually developed your skill set throughout your career. You know, in customer service, problem solving, negotiation. When you joined the development program at BT as an analyst, tell us a little bit about the skills you were lacking.
Yeah, well, I think the key things were the technical skills. So as the guys have just spoke about, I wasn't completely up to speed with the likes of SQL or Python or, you know, machine learning concepts, anything like that. I had never really experienced. I never had to in any of my previous roles. So those technical skills, I mean, no one's born to be a data professional. You know, no one wants to grow up and be a transformation manager or whatever it is. You know, you sort of pick these skills up as you go. And you know, it's a real risk of echoing everything that's been said before, but there's a proper common theme here that if you have that ability to communicate and, you know, go off and self-learn and find what you need to learn, actually identify that, which is a great skill off the bat, to even know what you're lacking and then fill in those gaps. And if you have a knack for making complex things simple as well, and just that attitude of always wanting to learn, you're going to get by anywhere. That's every single role that I've worked in, and they've been really diverse, that those things always shine through. And I could be working with people from all across the world, and they're always the things, if they can communicate well, simplify problems, and identify what's maybe going wrong. And you don't have to have the answer, as long as you know you can make progress towards solving that problem. Practice makes perfect. And for me, I guess the icing on the cake is if you're creative, you know, if you're into drama, if you're into music, you can maybe put a spin on things that other people haven't been able to do before. You might see the problem from a different angle. And the best graduates I've worked with before, they're asking questions that no one ever thought to ask. And that's sparked an entire project off the back of that. And if you can design some pretty graphs as well, which is what I try to do, that always helps. So, but yeah, no one has the complete skill set. Find what you don't know and just embrace it. Get stuck in, do some of those online courses, and you'll be fine.
Absolutely, because I think the thing is as well, we're actually, you know, again, a number of the audience, you know, are preparing for jobs that we don't even know what the job titles are going to be yet, but we also know that these key skills are going to be coming through, which is really interesting as well. And yeah, kind of follow your dreams and keep learning. It's, again, kind of a thread going through this call today. Laurie, let's talk about the record 93% of industrial placements that secure a full-time role in BT. That's pretty impressive. I'm sure that's down to your amazing recruitment skills and matching skills, of course. But clearly, you know, 93% of placement students that come to BT obviously love the role, come and secure and start a really exciting career. When do your early years recruitment opportunities become live? And can you give us a little bit of an overview of the kind of general application, the recruitment process, please?
Yeah, so our apprenticeship graduates and industrial placements, summer placements, they all go live in September. So for next year, they'll go live, obviously, September 2022. And in terms of the application process, it sounds really long-winded, but it's actually quite simple. So it's first of all an application form, like every, you know, job that you would make online. We then go through to what we call a factors test. So it's very much sort of around sort of your key skills, your ways of working, how you sort of kind of like psychometric testing. I can never say that word, it's far too long for me. And then it goes into a video interview to really sort of find out more about your strengths. And if you sort of passed all those stages, we then go into what we're doing at the moment due to COVID are virtual assessment centres. And those virtual assessment centres, they are designed to be marked on impact, not on confidence or, you know, being all singing, all dancing and jazz hands. It's really about the impact that candidates make on those days and really what they say. So, you know, a really good example of that is somebody, we have different sort of exercises throughout the day, and one of those is a group exercise. And although, say, potentially somebody may not be the leader or shouting the loudest, they could actually potentially score higher than the person that is shouting the loudest because their impact is greater and they're, you know, really pulling in the conversation and bringing it back to where they need to be and directing it in that way rather than, you know, being the most confident and outspoken person. So it's really looking at what you say, not how you say it. And that's, you know, really key, I think, for the whole of BT as well. And it really is about how you present yourself, what you do, and not really about what you know. We don't ask really any questions about, you know, what's your previous work experience. It's really how have you dealt with this type of situation. It's very situational rather than, you know, tell me about, you know, your part-time role that you've been doing, because a lot of people haven't been able to do them because of COVID as well.
Exactly. So it's really pulling on their own experiences. And
yeah.
We're going to move on to the last question of this session before we open up some questions to the floor. And Laurie, I'm going to come back to you if that's all right. So
yeah.
We're talking about the recruitment process during this call, how it's evolving, how it's getting a little bit more forward thinking, a little bit kind of more about, you know, the candidate rather than actually the historic kind of archaic ways that we've been working in the past. How important is it to BT that they recruit on who you are rather than how qualified you are? And we've probably touched on that a little bit, but just really wanted to end the call with that kind of message if we can.
Yeah, and I think going back to what Shane said earlier about you know, some of the best graduates that he's worked with have really looked at things from a different point of view. It's really about, it isn't, especially for early careers, it's not about what you know, because that's what you're applying for. You're applying for us to teach you, but also you can teach us as well. And it is very much a two-way street. And I think recruitment has evolved so much, especially since sort of COVID and probably a year or two before that, where it was very much, you know, probably 2018 and before, it was very much, why should we hire you? But now it's, this is why you should come and join us. And it really is that two-way street of ensuring that, you know, not only are we recruiting the best talent, but also are we recruiting the right type of people? Because although, you know, somebody might be, they might be absolutely amazing and they have all this great experience and exposure, but what more can they bring? You can teach people the fundamentals of a job. You can't teach people work ethic, you know, how they look at things differently, and what, you know, those small sort of details that we've sort of spoke about throughout the whole of this, that, you know, that you can bring in, especially from sort of an apprenticeship or a graduate stance, those transferable skills that you've been picking up, you know, in Sunday Football League, in, you know, your dance classes that you've been having since you were 4, and all those little things that you've been doing that you've not realised actually will benefit you greatly now when you are thinking, where do I want to go and what do I want to do?
Fantastic. What a great way to end the session. And I think, you know, we can all safely agree that everybody on this call has got such a diverse background, you know, and it's such a great representation of BT and actually what they're looking for the future in terms of talent. So massive thank you to you all. I guess right now it's an opportunity to answer, put some questions out to the floor. Has anybody in the audience got any questions that they'd like to perhaps take the mic off of mute or pop into the chat? Anybody out there got any questions? Ah, we have one. Can you please share information on the types of graduate roles and rotations and application deadlines? Okay, one thing to mention, as I said, this session's being recorded. What we will be doing is obviously topping and tailing it and putting on all of these application details and all the frequently asked questions, etc., that you'll have an opportunity to not only see on the BT Career Panel webpage, but you'll also be sent a link to this session as well, so you can rewatch it, have a look at those links. Do we have to do any challenge? No, not on that one. That was yesterday. That was yesterday. And we have, actually, on that note, we have our BT Step Up Career Challenge, which actually Isabel is running next Wednesday. So if you are a university or higher education student and want to undertake a challenge, whether it be a data science focused one or one that's more commercial, get involved, come to digdata.online, get registered for that. You'll find those details underneath partner events, and yeah, get yourself some virtual work experience. Do you please take postgraduates on for dissertation or project work? That's probably over to you, Laurie.
I'm not actually too sure, if I'm honest. I've never been asked that question. I think it's probably key to mention that I've only been with BT about 3 months, so still very much learning the beast that is BT. But I can make a note and I'll come back to Rachel and I'll let her know.
Yeah, no problem at all. And Fred, I've made a note of that question as well, so I'll come back to you on email with that, if that's okay. I would imagine that's probably something that will come from the data team, wouldn't it? I would imagine. I don't know what that question means. Do we have any mid-level career opportunities in BT? Laurie, that's going to be to you.
I think I can probably answer that one.
Okay, cool. And Amy, sorry, carry on.
Oh, yes, we do. They'll all be on our BT's careers pages. So all jobs are advertised there. So I would point you to that and have a look. But there usually is quite a variety of different opportunities in different locations across the UK.
Fantastic, thank you for that. Do you accept postgraduate students on a Tier 4 visa, which is a student visa, I believe? Anybody, any ideas, Amy?
Not sure on that one. I think that might be one for us to take away again, and might be dependent on role as well.
Okay, no worries at all, that's fine. Someone with 5 years of work experience, I would assume that's the same case, Amy, that you'll find roles of sort of mid to senior level on your careers page at BT?
Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic. Do you have any summer intern opportunities as well, or is it mostly graduate schemes? Now, I think, Laurie, you mentioned the summer internships, but I would imagine this summer's intake's already been filled? Or?
I think the majority of them are now. I think I'm just having a look. I think we've actually got an applied research one still open by the looks of it, which is actually quite data heavy, which is lovely for this session. We only have a number of sort of summer and industrial placements. As you can imagine, they're not as big as our graduates and apprenticeships, but they will also open for next year in September as well. But you can go onto the BT Early Careers site and you can actually see what ones that we've had this year, and it does say on the bottom if applications are still open or if applications are closed, but you can find out internships do entail as well.
Fantastic. Okay, so like I said, all of those links, Laurie, we're going to get together tomorrow, make sure we've got all of the links for mid-careers, early careers, etc., that everybody can access on the session. We've got here, as a psychology student, would data science complement my degree? Are there opportunities in industry sectors with my bachelor's? I would say 100% yes, but I will put that out to the BT team.
I'm happy to answer this one if that's all right.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so 100%, you'll have probably done some statistics in your degree. It's not essential, but that is a great skill to have. I've got colleagues now that also did the nano degree with me, and a couple of them have got degrees in psychology, history. Some of them don't have degrees too. So 100% you'll be really valuable having a psychology degree, data science.
I also think with that is it's got a lot of statistics in it, isn't it? Psychology, but also you've got that kind of customer and human behaviour as well, which is pretty exciting. Does anybody else have any more questions? Any more? think that might be it. I think we've done such a good job. Oh no, we've got another one. I don't know if this is a bad ask. How would you rate diversity at BT? Over to you, Amy.
I will be completely honest and say it's good, but it could be better. But we know we could be better, and we're putting a lot of effort in. So we have a colleague board, and who are from people who have kind of put themselves forward from all across the business, and they have time with all of the senior leaders, and we have to present to them. So in my wider team in corporate affairs, we have papers that we take to different boards, and the colleague board is one of them. So we have that internal sort of criticism and critique and support and conversation. We also have an ethnicity rapid action plan to that drive initiatives forward, and that's seen things like us working with the Alito Foundation to have specific internships. Different parts of the business are working with organisations to particularly target audiences that wouldn't normally come to BT. So Fast Futures programme, Code First Girls, I've said those before, but 10,000 Black Interns is a great organisation that a couple of parts of the business are working with, and so I think it's something that we're very conscious of in terms of recruiting in, but also in terms of once people are in, making sure that we are supporting each other, listening, having a great dialogue, and developing and growing everybody. So I'm not going to sit here and say that we're perfect, but it is something that we care so deeply about at BT, and I think it's one of the best things about the company is the people and our purpose, and it's just ingrained. So yeah,
I think it goes to the point at the beginning, really, wasn't it, that there really does seem to be a place where everyone can belong at BT, and actually everyone does care about it, which is so refreshing to hear. And I'm sure everyone's going to madly want to come and apply for BT and move forward. So I've just got a couple more here. I'm looking for an internship in data science. Can I still apply for it? Thank you. I think that's probably a Laurie question.
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, some of our was it internships? Sorry, Rachel, was
yes, it was. Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of our internships have now closed, but there are still a couple on the website. I've sent a link over to Rachel, so that can be communicated over with regards to what ones are still live.
Fantastic. And then we've just got one here. Are there any opportunities for placements or internships for data and stats role in sports? I'm assuming that means BT Sport.
It's surprising how many questions we get about BT Sport in particular. I couldn't say, just because it would just depend on obviously what CFU that falls into, what the rotations look like and things like that. It would be a stab in the dark if I said yes or no, and so it would be very much potluck if you did manage to get a rotation within sort of BT Sports, which I think I would like one, and I'm not even doing a graduate programme, so yeah, I think it's very sought after.
Fantastic, but not impossible.
Far from
good.
it.
Good to know.
It's a very nice studio as well, apparently. I've not been down yet, but I will be going down soon.
We need to get ourselves involved for a site visit. I think we should all get down there. So so Maxine, good evening. What can you do if you're studying for GCSEs? The majority of the courses seems to be aimed for those who have finished their GCSE. Well, I guess if I sort of answer part of that question, as to everyone's point here, there are so many different courses that you can undertake in your spare time to support your kind of interest level alongside your GCSEs. Obviously, you've got Digdata virtual work experience and career panel sessions like this, which supports from year 7 all the way up to university. Obviously, some of the other opportunities that Amy's mentioned, they're probably post 18. Does anybody here on the panel have anything that could support somebody that's studying their GCSEs that they might have interest? Georgia, Isabel, do you have any suggestions?
I can post some in the chat because I've got a list of resources that will definitely be helpful, that helped me and helped my mentor and can help you. So yeah.
Can you do me a favour, Isabel? Would you be able to ping them on email to me, and we'll make sure they are also on the video when we make that live.
Absolutely.
Just one thing here now, can you still do this work experience without GCSEs and an A level? So going to your point, Laura, I think when we were talking about a level 2 apprenticeship, you were talking about, if somebody's actually, got to 16, done their GCSEs, really doesn't want to go to sort of sixth form or to a technical college. How important is it that those students have achieved GCSEs, I guess is probably what we're trying to go with here.
I actually stand corrected. Level 2, you don't actually need any formal GCSEs or qualifications. It's just a good understanding of numeracy and literacy, which
Fine.
and then level 3 is where you would then require GCSEs, and I think it is 5 GCSEs, and I don't understand the new GCSEs ratings, if I'm completely
just
honest.
As well, actually.
Yeah, so I think in my old terms it's sort of C and above, so whatever that is in these new terms.
That's about a 5, I think, about a 4 or 5.
Yeah, I think
C, yeah.
You would need to have one in maths and English, but the other 3 it wouldn't really matter. But so level 2, no GCSEs, no qualifications, just a good understanding of numeracy and literacy.
Right.
Level 3, 5 GCSEs or more, and there need to be sort of English, language and maths within those 5.
But good to know that you can kind of come in there if you're not that sort of academic and work your way through these levels anyway. Fantastic. Yeah. So we've got here, is there any eligible criteria for non-background experience but with relevant postgraduate degree? Thank you. So I'm assuming then what you mean is you've done I don't know, say a master's in data science or a master's in something, but you haven't actually got any relevant work experience to support it to then come and make an application. I think I've interpreted that right. Is there any eligible criteria other than their degree that they need?
I think it would depend on what route they want to go down, if I'm completely honest. If they wanted to apply for graduate programs, obviously that is still an option for them, or if they wanted to go down the an experience higher, what we would call here at BT, but you know, entry levels do fall into those as well. So it would really just depend on what it was you were applying for and what you wanted to apply for.
Great. Okay. So I think if we've reached way past our time, I wanted to say, if there are any further questions that anybody has burning inside them tonight, if you pop them across to me, and I'll put that in the chat now, it's info@digdata.online. I can then direct that to the right person here on the panel and make sure that you've got the answers that you're looking for. Just to reiterate, the session has been recorded. We will be editing it and putting all of the links and frequently asked questions and all the wonderful information that Isabel's provided for those additional resources that you can gain some experience. Lastly, all I want to say is thank you so much to the BT panel tonight. You've been amazing. I think we've all learnt loads. We've had some great engagement, and thanks for giving up your time and committing to educating everybody here.